I'm going to do something a little bit different today, and by the end of this video, you will understand the number one skill you need for your AI agency if you want to book more clients in less time and make more money. And I'm even going to give you 6 real-world examples along the way. I run my own AI agency, which now earns over $10,000 a month, and I've sold my automation workflows to thousands of customers. Now, I'm warning you, the number one skill isn't sexy. It's not automation platforms like N8N or Make.com. It's not building AI agents or chatbots, and it is certainly not cold outreach. The number one skill you need to run a successful AI agency, believe it or not, is creating business proposals. Now, hold on. I gave you fair warning that it isn't sexy, but before you click off, do not underestimate the power of a good business proposal to your relationships, your business, and your bottom line. And I'm going to help you understand why. Remember when I told you I was going to do something a little bit different? Well, I run a community for people who want to start, run, and grow their AI agency, and so I put them to the test. I recently had a potential client reach out to me for a 3 workflow build. This is a real opportunity, and of course, it is paid. I could have booked the client for myself, but instead I decided to let my community members compete to win the job. And they only had 5 hours to do it, because the faster you get your proposal to your client, the more likely you are to close the deal. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all of the proposals, give you my honest thoughts and feedback, and give you tons of tips and tricks along the way to create better proposals so you can land better clients. The only thing I told my members is that the project needs to be completed in 4 weeks. Everything else is up to them, including the budget. So let me know in the comments which proposal you think is the best and who should win the job. So before we get into the proposals, it's obviously super helpful for you all to have an understanding of what the job actually is. And so I told you it's this 3 workflow system, which is basically a lead nurturing and client acquisition system, right? So basically there are 3 workflows that are going to be built. It's actually up to my members whether they want to build this in something like N8N or Make.com. But here's the general flow that the client outlined for me. So I think this gives you a really good idea of something you might get from a client. This is obviously super high level, but it's actually really helpful because the client has essentially here told us exactly how they want the system built. So basically there's 3 workflows, and workflow 1 is lead acquisition and the initial outreach. And so they have the idea that it starts with the trigger. We use a scraper called Appify to scrape Apollo, which is just a big database of leads. So we're going to scrape new leads based off of the criteria that they set. We're going to process this data to clean and deduplicate it so we're not getting any of the same kind of information repeated. We're going to validate the email address. We're going to enrich the lead. So we're going to gather company intelligence kind of just by like scraping the web and getting information about the company. We're going to score the lead. So we're going to assign a qualification score. So this is maybe a good thing that we're going to need clarification on from our client. How do we qualify these leads? What's the criteria, right? I don't know the answer. My members probably don't either. They want to use a tool called Plus5 AI, which is a cold email outreach kind of campaign platform. I've personally never used this before, but I did look, and they do have an API, so I know it's possible. They want to write cold emails using ChatGPT, so something that's just going to personalize and customize an email. They want to understand when a call is being booked using Calendly. Then they want a notification in Slack or by email once a new call has been booked. And then they want to send an auto reminder to people who have already booked calls so that we avoid no-shows, because no-shows are killing your business. The next 2 workflows are much shorter. Workflow number 2 is engagement-based nurturing. And so they want to see if an email has been opened or clicked. And then from there, we're going to update the score. So basically, we're going to increase the engagement score if somebody has clicked on the email already. We're going to use logic to basically check what stage they're in. We're going to personalize a message to them based off of, kind of what they've been doing so far and generate the next email. Then we'll wait 2 and 3 days, and then we'll send that out, right? And then we want to make sure we update the CRM to basically log this interaction and whatever the next action is. Cool. And then the last workflow is just reply management and lead qualification. Basically, it's like if the prospective lead has replied to the email, AI is going to classify what this lead is, kind of put them in a category. Are they interested, not interested? Do they have a question? We're going to adjust the lead score based on whatever the reply was, and then we're going to update the CRM to log that reply. And then here are some just conditions. If they're interested, we want to create a sales task. If there's a question, we want to add to the FAQ follow-up sequence. And if they're not interested, add to just a nurturing sequence for long-term. And then again, alert the team if there's a hot lead coming in. I did ask my client if they have a preferred CRM. They said they don't. I said maybe we could just use Airtable. It's a simple interface. We can create a simple dashboard for them. I also asked them if they need us to create the email sequences for them or if that's something they already had. And they did say that they want us to create the sequences. So that's something else that's like really important to understand. Like maybe you understand automations, but you don't know a lot about email sequences, right? So you either need to partner with someone or you need to figure it out quick. I had a whole bunch of types of proposals submitted. I had PDFs, I had a text file, I even had like a really nice slideshow presentation created. And I'm going to show you all of these. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and I'm going to let you decide which one you think is the best. So this was the first proposal submitted. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I do want to go through it high level. There are some good things about all of these proposals, and there are some things that need work. And I'm just opening them up as they came to me because this is exactly how the client's going to open it up, right? So I got sent this text file, and to me, right off the bat, you can see this is a lot of text, right? This is definitely more text than we need. I always recommend keeping your proposals to no more than one page. Give it clear sections, give it clear headers, maybe some charts, graphs, things like that, so your client really understands that you're going to solve their problem. So this just says, hi, I've reviewed your 3 workflow automation requirements. This is exactly the type of intelligent lead generation system that we specialize in building. That's great. You're basically just established that you're confident you can deliver the job for your client. Super helpful. Your vision for end-to-end automation, et cetera, et cetera. You're looking to build a sophisticated lead acquisition engine. That, cool. And then here we basically just outline kind of the system that the client has detailed to us. And then we have some flowery language. This isn't just automation, it's intelligent lead generation that scales without adding headcount. So that's great. I noticed that a lot of my members obviously used AI for this. I have no problem doing that. If you're going to use AI to generate proposals or things like that, it's really helpful to review it, strip out any unnecessary information, keep the most important stuff, make sure you're thinking critically that is this really detailing the system that your client has outlined? Is this going to solve the problem for them, right? You want to make it really clear that you understand their needs. You're confident and capable to create a system that is going to create the solutions that they desire and that you're the person for the job. So here again, you can see they've basically just kind of re-outlined the system. So honestly, in my mind, this is maybe like kind of unnecessary a little bit because the client has already outlined this for us in such great detail. We basically have the results here. Fresh qualified leads with personalized outreach delivered automatically. Okay. Real-time triggers. This is more kind of just through here, kind of like outlining the same systems, right? The team notification. This in here is basically kind of like the systems we were going to use that we talked about, Apify, Apollo. Okay, here's the architecture. So I think this is kind of like helpful, right? So I almost think we can get rid of a lot of this top stuff because the client already knows this, right? They sent it to us. It's good for us to be able to like understand, like, or it's good for us to be able to like let our client know that we understand what they're asking for, but I think maybe we're a little bit overkill in this case. I do think this is helpful that our member wants to use make.com and Zapier workflows for scalable automation. They want to manage webhooks for real-time triggers and responses, error handling and retry mechanisms, data security with proper API authentication, et cetera, et cetera. And then deliverables and timelines, right? All 3 workflows fully built and tested. Plus Vibe AI integration, which is great. This lets the client know that we're willing to use the platforms that they suggested. AI content generation templates and logic, CRM integration, team notification. So again, this is still kind of just outlining the system that the client already outlined for us. And then we basically have these 4 weeks, workflow 1, workflow 2, 3, and then a 4th week for integration, testing, and optimization. Cool. So this part here, investment options. This part is the part your client cares about. How much money is this going to cost them, right? Okay, option 1, the complete system for $4,500. There's multiple ways that you could price a system like this, and we're going to get into them. So all 3 workflows fully implemented. They want 50% up front or $2,250, 50% upon completion, includes 30 days of optimization support, which is great. Option 2 is a phased approach, right? So this is basically everything all up once in the 4 weeks. Option 2, phased approach, $1,800 per workflow. We're going to build them individually over time. This is great because this actually like mitigates some of the risk for your client where they're like, okay, let's just do the first systems first. Let's kind of like take stock of where we're at after that. How did the process go? Did you deliver what we're asking for? And if both parties agree, they'll continue on through the process. So this can be helpful for a client too. But if you do quick math here, 1,800 times 3, I think is 5,400, right? So this actually ends up being a little bit more expensive than this option here. So we'll build the workflows over time. Great. Option 3 is the partnership model, $3,000 plus $800 a month. So this includes initial setup at a reduced rate, ongoing optimization and maintenance, and then priority support and feature addition. Cool. And then just kind of some reasons why you should choose basically this particular business to work with in here. So this is kind of nice to see kind of like this is an area for you to show results, past case studies, past work that you've done, things like that, just to say like, yeah, like we're the right person for you, right? Some questions that they ask. I think this is actually a really helpful section. It might be hard to see, but this part's important, right? What's your current target for new leads per day or per week? What's your budget? Which option aligns with your current priorities? Do you have any specific launch dates or deadlines that you need? Are there any specific CRM tools you want? And then how will we measure the success of this automation system? So maybe this is something you can outline to them. This is probably tied into like the leads generated too, right? Next steps. I'd love to schedule a brief strategy call. The system will transform your growth. Best regards, sign off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all in all, I think there are some good pieces here. I think it's a little bit too wordy. I think opening up, a text file like this can be kind of cumbersome and overwhelming for a client. They basically again, want to know a couple of things, like that you understand their system, that you can solve their problem, how you're going to approach their problem, what the timeline is, and how much it's going to cost. And I think if you can do that in like a single page, in like a really just nice, clean format, I think you're going to win the job 9 times out of 10. Cool. So let's get into the next one here. This is the second proposal. This one came in a PDF format. Right up top, the first thing that we have is the timeline. So weeks 1 to 2, lead acquisition, initial outreach. Week 3, engagement-based nurturing. And then week 4, reply management and lead qualification. So these are basically just the 3 systems that the client outlined initially to us. And then this is the timeline we're going to execute them. Cool. Page 2, then post week 4 monitoring, right? Training and documentation, ongoing support retainer for maintenance, API monitoring, and tweaks. So this is cool. This is something you for sure want to build into your proposals. A proposal is a perfect opportunity for the upsell. Your clients may not know what they don't know. They may not know that they need ongoing maintenance for a system like this. They may not know that it's helpful to have you on a retainer so that you can make improvements to the system, but also come up with ideas for other automations that would improve their business. This is the great opportunity. And one of the reasons why I say proposals is the number one skill is because this is the start of your relationship. If you can impress your client with the proposal and show that you understand them and your business, you're going to make a lot of money with that person. Cool. Here's a timeline summary, which honestly, in my opinion, we maybe don't need this. We just outline the summary up here. And then we have it again here. So maybe this is redundant and not necessary. And then we have a different budget. So take a look at this and let me know what you think of this second budget, right? Remember the first one we had $4,500 as an option, $1,800 per workflow, or $3,000 plus an $800 monthly retainer, right? So this is a different budget. So again, I didn't tell my members what to do for the budget because I was curious what they'd come up with for it. So we have lead acquisition outreach build. So this is the estimated cost. So this is just for the first build, right? The fast track 2-week build. This is the second automation workflow, $3,500 to $5,000 in a 1-week sprint. Same for the third build, $3,500 to $5,000. Training and documentation. And then contingency. It's good to build in a contingency, right? Maybe your client has revisions. Maybe they want to change the system a little bit. Maybe things aren't working quite the way that we thought they were going to work and we may need to make changes. So again, building this in is like just, they said it here, right? A little bit of buffer. It's helpful for you. And just it's good to put it in there because then if you don't end up charging your client, if you don't need the contingency, they're happy you saved them some money. So here's the subtotal for the full build, $16,000 to $22,000 for the whole project end to end, and then potential or optional for a $1,000 to $1,500 a month retainer post-launch to continue to provide updates and support. And then payment structure, slightly different payment structure. So there's so many ways you can structure payment, right? Discovery and setup, 20% upfront before you started anything. After you complete workflow 1, 25%, and then 20 and 25% at the end, right? And then plus a contingency, 10% on the final delivery. So this is interesting, right? This is the whole proposal here. And so there's not a lot of detail about, the benefits of the system, what the system is and things like that. Not a lot of flowery language. It's straight to the point. So I will say if there is anything you include in your proposal, a timeline and a budget are the most important thing. So I think, this person definitely nailed it when it comes to that. I do think your client may not be a technical person. So I think maybe leading with things like this, which it's like a little bit jargony, right? Build and deploy scraping, verification, enrichment, lead scoring, outreach. Okay, cool. Focus on core functionality, webhook triggered, nurture email sequence. These things, right? This is kind of what the client has asked for, but I think this language might be a little bit too technical. So again, when I think of it's sales, right? We're in sales. When I think of sales, we're always thinking about the transformation, right? So what is the outcome? What is the dream outcome, the desired outcome for your client that building these systems is going to get them? So I would outline that up top here. What is the dream outcome for your client? Can you achieve it for them? Why are you the person for the job? And then I do think this might be missing some case studies or things like that to let your client know that you're qualified to do this job for them before they hand over $20,000. I don't think that this pricing is outrageous by any means. I think this is well within the realm of possibility. It's up for your client to decide. I actually like that it's a nice healthy range, right? We have a $6,000 range. I learned from Chris Do, the founder of The Future, give a big range. If your client doesn't state a budget, like we could have even said here, like this is anywhere from $6,000 to $20,000, right? And then you kind of get a read on where your client feels, right? If they're like, well, $20 seems expensive, but could you do 12? And you're like, cool, 12 is great, like better than 6, right? So it's kind of interesting ways of how to price. So this one's really interesting. I don't mind this at all. I think there's some things missing, but there's some good things about it too. I like that it's really clear and that we have the most important things up front: timeline, budget. Let me move on to a presentation. So this one is interesting. This came in PDF. This is nice because this has a little bit of visual interest, right? So now I can go to the next slide. So we have the solution. So prospect, engage, manage. So basically this is what they want us to build. Phase 1, budget timeline laid out right here, right? Phase 1, 2 weeks, 30K. Phase 2, 1 week, 15K. Phase 3, 1 week, 15K. So right here, we can see we're already in for 60K. What do you think? Is this what a system like this is worth? Let me know in the comments if you think it's worth 60K for this system. But it's cool because we outline immediately the timeline and the budget, and we've shown clearly what the system is designed to do: scheduled outreach, email validation, due diligence, cold email, etc., email tracking and engagement, nurturing, follow-up, timeline, etc. So again, we've laid out basically exactly what the system is the client has asked us to build and how much it's going to cost. Cool. I like this. New lead prospecting. This is really nice. This is basically just like a new visual representation of the original flow that the client showed us, right? Remember, they basically showed us flows like this, but they kind of just put it in here in kind of a nice visual representation with the schedule trigger. Then we're going to use Apollo to lead, to scrape data and cleanse and prep. We're going to qualify them after validating their address. We're going to do due diligence. We'll give them this total score. And if they're qualified, we'll then add them to the cold outreach campaign. From there, we'll add personalization with ChatGPT, meeting schedule with calendar, Slack and email notification, and then meeting Copilot with auto reminder. So this is just kind of like a nice little visual flow. So I actually think this is helpful. I love putting in little charts like this. It's nice for your clients who are visual learners. And this is also a great way for you to start planning out, because like these look like nodes. These are nodes, right? So when you hop into N8N or make.com, you kind of have already built the foundation for you to build from. Same thing with the engagement. This is kind of the same system for the second flow. And it's great. It's good to, you're starting to think about the logic of how a system like this is going to work, right? Same thing, reply management and lead qualification. Great. And that's it. This is the end of this presentation. So we basically have all the really high level important information up front here, and then just kind of breakdowns of what these systems should look like. So I actually don't mind this. Like, I think this is a nice presentation. I wish we kind of went into a little bit more detail about who this company is, what their past successes, any case studies or things like that, why I'm sure that I should go with them. And I do think there actually isn't a place where we've tallied up the timeline and the budget, although I can do math for myself. Again, just being really clear about those things so that there is no question from your client about how long this is going to take and how much this is going to cost. So again, I actually think 60K flat rate might be a little bit high for a system like this, but again, it depends on the prospects that this system is bringing in. So, okay, this is cool. So who's this prepared for? So we have the executive summary, right? So this is where we talk a little bit about the pain points, right? Again, in sales, you are solving a pain point for your client. The sales team is trapped in a cycle of manual prospecting, burning hours on tasks that intelligent automation can handle while they sleep. This is like you're selling yourself now just by identifying their pain points, right? Meanwhile, your competitors are scaling their outreach 10x faster with AI-powered systems. Again, selling yourself, but now it's making it relatable for your client. Like, yeah, like I am having these problems. Great. Here's the solution: a battle-tested enterprise-grade email automation engine that has generated 2.3 million in pipeline for clients across SaaS, consulting, and professional service sectors. Did anybody notice this? 2.3 million in pipeline. Now, if I'm a client, I'm like, oh, that piques my interest. I would like to make $2.3 million. Love that. Promise: within 90 days, you'll have a self-optimizing system that consistently delivers 50 plus qualified meetings per month while your team focuses exclusively on closing deals. I love this right here, right? Now your client is like it puts it like, as a client, like this will put me at ease, right? This is saying like, you understand my pain. You understand the system that I want you to build, and now I understand the results that you're anticipating. Because honestly, as a client, I know that I want this system, but I may not actually know what results I should expect. Like, am I going to get 10 new leads per month? Am I going to get 5,000? Right? So now you can let them know that they're going to get 50, and you better be confident that you can hit this number, because now you've set yourself up to hit this number, but at least you didn't say 5,000, right? Cool. So this is interesting. ROI projection. Based on your 15K average deal size, the system will pay for itself within the first 12 qualified meetings booked, which is great. My only problem with this is I did not tell them that there was an average deal size here. So I actually don't know where this number came from. I don't know if this AI made it up. I don't know if this is from a past proposal or what, but I'm just saying that we have to be careful of things like that, which may not actually be relevant to your client because they didn't give me this number. What I do like about this again is a selling point, right? This system will pay for itself within the first 12 qualified meetings booked, right? Well, if I'm getting 50 plus qualified meetings per month, so what? This is going to pay for itself in the first week. This is what you're setting yourself up for, right? So just again, be careful what you're promising. If you're confident you can hit this, awesome. I would love this as a client, right? But you better hit it. Okay, so here, the challenge you're facing, manual prospecting is killing your growth, the cost of inaction. Okay. This is fine. We're hitting on the pain points again, but I do feel like this is maybe like a little bit redundant to the executive summary here. So maybe there's something else we can have here. I almost think maybe like, do we cancel out this section and then just have the cost of inaction? I'm not entirely sure here. I don't mind it, but maybe it's unnecessary. And I think maybe we can just get in to the system overview and architecture. One thing I will notice, I'm not going to go through this all in all. Intelligent lead acquisition. This is regurgitating the system to them. This is fine. This is fine. Like I don't mind this, right? Again, let them know that you understand them and you've heard them. Some formatting things here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this light gray is kind of like doubled up here weirdly. So this is kind of like some weird PDF thing that's happening because this was probably generated in AI. So just like be careful when you have stuff like this, I would say. Security and compliance, enterprise grade security, SOC 2, type 2 compliant infrastructure. I personally have no idea what that means, right? So when I start to see things like this, my immediate thought is that this was for sure generated by AI, right? SPF, DKIM, DMARC. Okay, like I know some of these terms because I've spent some time in email and things like that. And maybe someone who has done a lot more of the kind of these in-depth email systems is more familiar. But again, like it starts to get a little bit technical and a little bit jargony. And I actually don't know that you need to tell your client this much detail. The other thing I will note is that this is like a lot of pages. I'm not going to go through it all right here, but that's kind of like the biggest thing I know, that it's great that it's thorough, but can this be streamlined and can this be simplified, right? You want to take the fastest line path to a sale, right? So it's identifying the pain point, showing them the solution, telling them the timeline, telling them the budget. You can almost strip out the rest of it, right? Here, we're just going through the workflow again. We're having the project investment, discovery and strategy, week 1, lead acquisition, week 2, engagement application, integration optimization. Cool. ROI projections, conservative. Okay, this is actually nice. Like I like this, right? ROI projections. Like if you can include a little chart like this, what do we think? We think we're going to generate them 75K in month 1, and by month 3, we're going to have 195. Are we really generating $2 million a month? I don't know, right? Again, it's hard. We're definitely making up some numbers here. Because I didn't give them any of this information. So we want to be really careful about just like making numbers up. I like the promise, right? I'd be happy to make $1.8 million, but those are questions you want to have with your clients before you start creating the proposals. This is helpful. Third-party tools cost monthly, right? Because your clients are going to say, "Why are you charging me, $4.99 for Apify Pro?" They probably have this already. OpenAI credits. It's nice to have, though, right? Just to understand what the additional costs are going to be for them. So this is maybe helpful. I haven't verified this information, so again, you want to make sure that these numbers are accurate and that all of this is actually needed before sending it off to the client. I like that we have metrics and KPIs, like how are you going to measure success? Okay, cool. Why me? I didn't write this, but I like that they're selling it as if they're me. That's great. Again, but we are making we're making this stuff up, right? 47 million in pipeline across 127 client implementations, 94% client return. Like, okay, like great. Like this stuff is made up, except for this part. I did work with Apple, PlayStation, Nissan, and Sephora, so that's cool. Great. Okay, so there are some good things about this. Again, I would say this is too long. We probably want to shorten this up a little bit. Oh, last thing we want to get the budget, right? 32,500. Here's how much this costs. Here are the breakdowns of when they're going to pay. So again, I don't think this is bad. And when you get into budgets with your client, I also think especially with lead generation systems, it's really important to have the talk with your client about the value of that lead. What is the lifetime value of their customers? How much revenue are they anticipating generating, right? What if one booked customer is $100,000, right? And you're only charging $5,000 for a system like this. So I love value-based pricing when it comes to leads, because you can say, okay, if my system is going to book you $1 million this year, I want 50,000 for this system, or I want 75 or 100,000, or I'll take 10% of that because this system is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for finding those leads. So again, it's really important to actually understand your client and their business before putting together a proposal. Now, I didn't ask all the information up front. This is true. They could have come to me with questions. Some of my members did, others didn't. But again, those are the types of questions and conversations you want to have with your client before putting the proposal together so that you actually have a better understanding of how to get the most value out of your client for the system that you deliver. We have one more PDF, and then we're going to get into the last presentation. So here's what you'll get. We're building a smart, scalable automation system that will do all of these things: nurture leads, handle replies, avoid no-shows, update your CRM. Great, cool. We have stated up top, we understand what they're asking us to build. And then here's the summary. Here's exactly what the system is going to do. We're going to break it down in more detail. Daily lead harvesting that feeds your funnel. Every morning, I like this, we lay it out. Every morning, we'll scrape fresh leads via Apollo, clean them up, validate emails, enrich them with company intel, score them, drop them into your outbound engine. This ensures the campaign is always fed with high quality prospects without manual research. Same thing, we go into detail about cold emails, instant booking alerts, engagement driven nurturing. So we're just breaking down the system in more detail. I think this is nice. I always want to be careful maybe about doing this too early, because the more information you give your client, the more information they can respond to, right? So if you break this down and they're thinking, well, maybe we should do the flow like this, or maybe we should do that, or have you given any thought, right? Now you're giving them more spaces to, or more things to object to, or more kind of questions to ask. And so basically you want to say, this is how we're doing it. This is exactly what's happening. It's these basic things. You don't need to think about anything else. We got this, right? Like this, we work with what you got. I do like that they say this. There are still a few unknowns, like your current CRM, which cold email platform you're married to, if any. This was the plus vibe, right? Or how you currently manage FAQs or follow-ups. No worries, this is totally normal. Our promise, we'll strive to integrate with your existing tech. We'll flag mismatches early. If it's not ideal, we'll recommend a future-proof alternative that won't lock you into expensive software. So I think that's really nice. Like, I think it's kind of like a nice piece to say, like, we understand you might not have this all figured out. We have this figured out. So if you're not entirely sure, we're going to put you in the right direction. Pricing. Everybody loves pricing based on scope and industry benchmarks. One-time setup and build, $4,250. Super clean, super cut. Strategy session, full workflow development in N8N, integrations, GPT prompt engineering, testing, and documentation, and then a monthly retainer of $650 a month. I always recommend working on retainer with your clients because stuff is going to come up. They're going to want to use you, and you should be getting paid for it. This is maintenance, updates, GPT tuning, new automations, etc. Optional add-on, custom dashboard, or CRM field syncing. So this is the first time that someone mentioned a custom dashboard. And literally in my kickoff call with the client, this was one of the first things I mentioned, because when I saw a system like this, to me, being able to track the leads through the pipeline, through the flow, see how many bookings you have, see how much money you've been earning, right? This is important for your client, but it's also really important for you as, the AI agency, right? So now you can have some real results to show for your next case study or for your next client, right? This is a great way to try to better understand your own value and for your clients to value you properly. What's next? Stack review, discovery session. From there, we map out workflows. This is kind of nice. I like a section like this, right? Just to let your client know kind of what you have planned. It's like, okay, we need to get on a call. We need to discuss these few things, and then we're going to kick it off. So I think this is really helpful. I think there are some nice things about this. I actually think we're probably a little undervalued here, is my guess. I think one-time flat rates. I work one-time flat rates often, I think, just because it's nice and easy. You don't have to necessarily always establish a long-term relationship with your client. This is a good way to get in, get out. And if you want, kind of towards the end of the project, you can either revisit this retainer or maybe future projects working with them. So I do think we're a little bit undervalued for how much value a system like this brings. But again, I don't mind this. I never recommend working hourly for anyone unless you're going to charge them excessive rates, because again, it's always about the value, the time saved, the money earned that these systems are bringing for your client. That's going to make, your systems in theory are going to make them a lot of money. And so they should be making you money too. And I think you're just kind of selling yourself short if you're pricing hourly. So this is the last proposal that I received, and this is the only one who did a full presentation like this. This is the only one that's in Canva. This is actually the first time I've seen a proposal submitted in Canva. Maybe that's just me. Christina said it was cool that I shared this, so this is great. This is Christina, Leads Unleashed, and I'm just going to go through this. I think this is really nice, beautifully done, kind of fun graphics. Hi, I'm Christina, a fractional CMO, AI architect, and digital strategist for creators who want to scale without selling their soul to the algorithm. This is great. I do think creators who want to scale without selling their soul to the algorithm. My only issue with this on the first page is that in this case, for this client, this is actually not who this client is, right? They're not a creator who wants to scale without selling their soul to the algorithm, right? There's something else. So I think just a little bit of personalization on this first slide will let the client know that, like, oh yeah, like this is speaking directly to me, right? Cool. This is fun though. Like I'm a visual guy. My background's in motion graphics and animation, so just having something like this is fun. We're not building a funnel. We're building a machine that scrapes, qualifies, and converts cold leads on autopilot. People love stuff on autopilot. Some of my best performing thumbnails literally have this word in them, so take note. Built with proven systems, not guesswork. Powered by a tested AI agent that never sleeps, modular and scalable across any niche, designed for consistent call bookings without manual grind. So we've addressed some pain points. We said why the system is going to work. I like that it says a tested AI agent. That makes me feel a little bit more confident. And it's like, okay, cool. Like we understand what's going on. We understand the ask here. So here's the big picture. And this is basically just a regurgitation of the workflow that the client laid out for us, right? Scrape high quality leads, clean, verify, and score, launch the cold outreach, detect opens and clicks, bump message until response, replies, books calls, team gets hot leads, nothing else. So this is cool. I think it's really helpful to see this flow again, just to show your client that you understand what they're asking for. I do think that this is really just showing off kind of the first automation that they asked for and not the other two. And so maybe that's something to watch out for here. Maybe it would be more helpful to break this up into three. I'm not sure, or maybe kind of, add a few more steps at the end that kind of encompasses the other two workflows. It does look like we get into them here. Branch one from email, open, click. So basically here's what happens on the first branch, the engagement flow. Branch two is reply management from reply detected, classification, updates, auto routes, things like that. I will say these slides, I almost think, I don't know if I want to go with another one of these. It might get, visually exhausting. I think this one is okay here, but this one feels like kind of wordy. Like there's just a lot of bullet points. So maybe there's like a nicer way to reformat it. But again, it is clear, that Christina understands the brief and understands the ask here. And again, little retro TV and headphones, super fun. Can't be mad at that, right? Cool. Okay, secret weapon. This is fun. This is a little clickbaity, but I don't mind it, right? It's like, oh, like piques my interest, gets me excited. Old leads get their first AI message. If nothing happens, you're just going to bump, and then you're going to bump again, which is basically just like, hey, like, did you get my email? Like, respond to that. Then if they respond, it's going to go to ChatGPT. AI is going to qualify them if the lead responds, et cetera, et cetera. And then after they're qualified, they're going to book the appointment or create the sale. So again, just a visual representation of this flow of kind of like what happens if we have old leads and we just want to follow up with them. Disco ball, it's not about the tools, it's about the logic. Anyone can connect an Apollo scraper to an email sequence, but just because a task is completed doesn't automatically mean a business will get the desired outcome. I like this. This is like kind of like, oh, like I thought this was easy, but it's like, wait, like we can do more for you. This is kind of setting you up, right? To like, we can do more. If you think anybody can do this, no, we can do this. The difference between ROI and waste of money isn't the mechanics, it's the methodology. And essentially she's saying, I have the methodology to help you with this. So why me? I spent a decade just studying why people buy and what pushes them away. My systems are built from that obsession. This is something that I think not a lot of people included. The first text only example that we looked at actually did include an about section. And I think this is important. And one of the reasons I think this is really important is, again, because this is the first touch point you have with your client. This is your opportunity to start building that relationship with them, right? And you need to start telling them about you and why you're not only the person to execute on this project, but all of their projects coming up. So this is an opportunity for them to get to know you better and to start nurturing and building that relationship. So that's why I actually think a little slide like this goes a long way. Cool. This part too, the results are the results my system is already generating. How many appointments have been set so far altogether? 143. That's amazing. So this is great. I honestly don't know if this is a real screenshot or fake or not. I honestly don't care, right? Having a little case study, having a little proof is really, really important. This kind of like sets your client's mind at ease. I will also say, to be totally honest with you, I am not above, faking some sort of interaction like this. The only thing I will say is I have no problem faking results early in your career to try to get clients. The only thing you have to be aware of is you need to deliver, right? You can't say, oh, I've booked 143 leads before. And then when you build a system for your client, nothing happens, right? Then you don't look great. So if you're really truly confident that you can get the results that your system is after, I actually don't mind making stuff up a little bit. I'm all in favor of fake it till you make it. It's what it takes to be successful. Just don't go overboard with it. Do not abuse this because, again, you're building relationships and credibility and authenticity is everything. So how are we doing it? This is super clutch. I've built two multi six-figure businesses using nothing but organic strategies. I've closed high-ticket services without a single sales call. I've trained AI agents to mirror real human decision-making across 5,000 plus reply threads. It's not duct taped. It's behavioral conversion engine disguised as automation. Cool. This is cool. Again, proof, credibility, puts my mind at ease with the client. Love this. Here's the timeline. Phase 1, system architecture, days 1 through 2, scraper flow and build, days 3 through 5, et cetera, et cetera. You get how a timeline works. Testing and tuning, days 10. So this is interesting, right? Handoff and training, day 10. So I gave them 4 weeks. I said, yo, have 4 weeks to deliver this. This person says, I'm confident I can deliver this in 10 days. So you tell me, do we think we can deliver the system in 10 days? I'm not sure. But this person is confident, so I'm confident. This is also the first example that we've seen of a tiered pricing structure, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, right? So tier 1, this is basically saying we're going to deliver the system that you asked for. This is the system that the client asked for, right? The Apollo scraper, the email cleaning, lead scoring, cold outreach, Calendly, Slack, et cetera, right? So then this is interesting. We've given them an opportunity to upsell. So this is cool because this is an opportunity to upsell, but this also shows them that you know what you're doing because you're saying, look, I can give you the system that you asked for, but I also know a bunch of ways that we can make this way more effective for your business. So here they get everything in tier 1 plus the Ivy AI reply agent. I actually don't know what this is, but this is an automatic reply agent, for email, which is super, super cool. So sentiment classification, CRM and Slack routing, smart follow-up sequences. So this is cool because they've already kind of identified here that they have follow-up sequences already built, right? One of the things the client wants is us to build the email sequences. And so if this person already has some, they're setting them off in a good place, right? $10,000 to $15,000. And this is everything plus white label license, standard operating procedures, that's SOP, templates, cloning workflows, branded assets, resale, AI customization, and support. So this person actually asked me what the end client is and what their goal is, right? And my end client is like a marketing agency, right? And so this is cool. If we're able to build the system, what she's saying here is that we can actually create this system in a way that you could repackage this and resell this to every one of your clients, right? So maybe we're charging $20,000 to $30,000 for this, but then maybe that our immediate client can sell it to their customers, what maybe they'll sell it for 10K a piece or 20K a piece. It's up to them, right? But this is a great way to get their money back if they're able to white label what we've already given to sell to their customers. They can make their money back and then, 2, 3, 10X on it, right? This is also cool, 10% gross revenue share. We've become partners now from resold or deployed versions. So this is just from anything that's been resold or repackaged. So we're going to get 20% in perpetuity. Great way to make some money. And the end, let's build. Cool, call to action. So the only thing I would say here about this that might be missing is like a real CTA or a link. So, I mean, we have the CTA, it says, let's build. But like if we wanted to, put down here, book a call, my terrible handwriting, but like some sort of button, right? Book a call with me, right? So it takes them to a link to your calendar so that you can do a kickoff meeting, you can book the call, you can collect the first payment, you can just start the project. I always kind of approach proposals like I already have won the project. And so I just encourage them to start the process with me because I'm confident that I can deliver. So today we basically took a look at 6 or 7 different types of proposals, all different types of pricing structures, all different types of formats, text-based, PDF-based, presentations. Let me know in the comment which one you think is the best and which one I should give the job to. If you thought this video was interesting, check out this video up here where I show you my top 3 automations that are making me $5,000 a month or more. I'll see you over there.